Daylight in my room. Haha. See what's going on in the world of the world. What is happening in the world of the world? Yeah, this was boring and pointless. Oh God, this is always.
I see we're across the way now.
Glaze says the easiest way to save your
Across the country. Let's get into this one. We'll watch and then we'll discuss.
Allentown. Allentown. Allentown? Well, we're living here in Allentown, and they're closing all the factories down. Out in Bethlehem, they're killing time, filling out forms, standing in line. While our fathers fought the Second World War, spent their weekends on the Jersey Shore, met our mothers at the USO, asked them to dance with them slow, and we're living here in Allentown. But the restlessness was handed down, and it's getting very hard to stay. We're living here in well, we're waiting here in Allentown for the Pennsylvania we never found, for the promises our teachers gave. If we worked hard, if we behaved, so the graduations hang on the wall, but they never really helped us at all. No, they never taught us what was real. Iron, coke, chromium, steel. We're waiting here in Allentown, but they've taken all the coal from the ground. The Union people crawled away. Every child had a pretty good shot to get at least as far as their old man got, but something happened on the way to that place. They threw an American flag in our face. Well, I'm living here in Allentown. It's hard to keep a good man down, but I won't be getting up today. And it's getting very hard to stay. And we're living here in Allentown. Now let's see if anything has changed.
For what?
Nope.
Am I being charged? Hey, am I
Nope.
charged for anything? Am I charged?
Yo, go ahead, hit him. You're hitting him. Yeah, you're
Nope.
hitting him. I'm
Nothing
recording.
has changed.
I'm recording. Yeah.
He's
Hit him,
handcuffed.
Hit him.
He's handcuffed.
I'm suing.
I mean, I just want to point out that we literally have a Second Amendment for situations like this. Like, no joke. Like, literally. Like, every time the conservatives do their little, well, the Second Amendment protects us from tyranny. That's the tyranny. Them beating that man is literally the fucking tyranny. It's literally the fucking tyranny that it's talking about. Sorry, puppy. I used a bad word, but I love you. But no, that is the tyranny. That's literally the tyranny outlined in that Second Amendment. But what do we have as civilians when the bad guys are the ones that are in charge of the law and have the badges and everything? In a just world, it would be perfectly okay to Second Amendment this group of criminals trying to kill this man on the sidewalk, unlawfully beating him. In a just world, because it's self-defense. Or not self-defense, but it's defense. You're defending. I mean, here's the thing. If these guys weren't wearing these uniforms and didn't have these badges, it would be a justified shoot if you were to shoot these people. So why is it okay when they do it? I mean, that's the thing I need someone to explain to me. Why is this okay? And why is the only thing we get to do is stand back with a camera and yell that we're suing while the cops are laughing, knowing that lawsuit ain't going to go anywhere, knowing they're going to get away with it. You know? I mean, what happened? Nothing. Nothing will happen. At worst, they'll get transferred to another police department and they'll get to do it to someone else. Or they transfer them out to the county or to the state troopers. So the people that they were beating on don't see them as often, but they stay in law enforcement. That's why there was an article. God, there are so many bad cop articles because there's so many bad cops. They get lost in the fucking flood. There's more bad cops than good cops, I swear to God. But no, there was an article just recently where they had to specifically, the city had to specifically get a judge to make an official whole big lawful legal order thing to bar this person from ever practicing in law enforcement or being employed in law enforcement or by law enforcement ever again. And the fact that this judge had to do that in the way that they did it, it proves that there is a huge fucking problem. I mean, if there wasn't a problem, the judge wouldn't have to do that. I'm going to crank this volume down a bit. But yeah, if it wasn't an issue, the judge wouldn't have to do it. I mean, this is like 1 + 1 is 2. This is simple math. This isn't even complicated math. This is simple math. 1 + 1 is 2. This judge wouldn't, if there wasn't a verifiable, objective problem with bad cops, then a judge wouldn't have to go that far out of his way. I mean, this is happening out in the street. They're just standing out in the street, just casually like a kid playing with sparklers. Just why are they still breathing? I mean, I grew up in the country where when you see someone getting attacked by feral hogs, you euthanize the hog. You euthanize those feral hogs because they're a threat to the community. I mean, you know what? If the blue bitches don't want to be talked about that way, then the precious little fragile bitches should stop behaving that way. I mean, it's that simple. If you can't handle the criticism, then don't take the job, princess. Tuck your teeny nuts back between your steroid legs and go home.
It's okay. I'm suing. I'm suing.
There's a much better word that starts with S and rhymes with rooting.
Joey!
I'm calling.
Oh, Joey!
I'm suing. You can't beat him like that.
Yeah, we can.
No, you can't. He was just laying there. No, this is my house.
Okay, go back.
With
Did you hear that?
millions watching.
Did you hear that? If I would have been the neighbor, I would have been real quick to go, watch your mouth, bitch. Watch your mouth, ginger bitch. God, that dude's face is so fucking punchable.
And many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable. We just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid.
They didn't do anything wrong after. I know this place. Pennsylvania Police Department says we didn't do anything wrong after beating a man who was in handcuffs in his own yard. I should have given you the viewer discretion.
They always say that. They always say that. It's always, well, we investigated ourselves, found ourselves innocent of any wrongdoing. And that's what's always going to happen. I mean, think about it. Let's use redneck logic here. Would you allow a crackhead to investigate themselves? No. Because they're not going to find themselves guilty. So, I mean, when you've got this many hogs, that large of a group of hogs all joined in unison, just so casually beating a person. Oh my God. You know what I miss? I miss the days when a community would be concerned enough for each other that they would all come out of their houses and whoop those hogs' asses. Those are the good old days we need to go back to. The days when Chicago said, fuck that. We are sick of that. The days when LA said, we are sick of this shit. I tell you what, it's a stain on this country that those cops, any of those cops, are still breathing from that Rodney King beating.
I guess I assume sometimes that we've seen it all, but I should have given you that. It all started when Alexis Evaston and her partner Michael Lucalino were reported for domestic disturbance. According to Alexis, police tapped on the door before bursting inside. They knocked 2 times. It was bang, bang. Then they opened up the door and came rushing in.
And see, God, it sucks because every time that happens, they should be met with Second Amendment force. Because I'm telling you right now, I mean, talk to any country boy, and they'll tell you the reason you gotta put the feral hogs down is because they don't understand anything but violence. Same thing with these hogs. They don't understand anything else but violence and fear. So you have to make them afraid of the violence to get them to stop. I mean, that's why they started driving tanks into homes in LA, is because they're scaredy bitches at their core. That's why they show up in big groups and you've got like 6 of them just standing around casually beating on one dude like that with their batons, because they're bitches. Like police departments hire stupid, insecure people because, well, what it is police departments hire people who who basically are most susceptible to following the herd.
Police said a caller reported his sister was involved in a domestic dispute with an intoxicated man. When they arrived, they heard yelling coming from the apartment and a woman saying, "Mike, get off me." According to the arrest affidavit, Michael was holding their 4-year-old son when police barged in, Alexis claims. 2 or 3 of the officers tried to arrest him without giving him any reason why. He was holding the child and just kept asking why they entered the home without a warrant or what was their reasoning. Lehigh Valley News filling in the details. Police took Michael to the floor, allegedly stomping on his legs, carried him out the front door where Alexis began filming. I was screaming for them to get off of him. They were refusing to do so. I had to pry my child off him. Never seen anybody with that.
See, this is how objectively stupid cops are, because so far not one single shred of anything. So they're supposed to be showing up to a domestic violence charge, right? And the person they're supposed to be defending is telling them to stop, and they're fucking everything up. They're not even paying attention to the child that they're endangering. Calling the cops on someone is like, it's like sicking feral attack dogs on somebody. Never call the cops on anyone you're not prepared to kill. Because anytime you tell the cops to go to a house, you're pointing a gun at them and pulling the trigger.
Excessive force before. He was not moving. They proceeded to tase him. And then one of the other officers brought out a baton and started hitting him excessively. Then they picked him up and threw him in the van. The way that they beat him was just not okay. Lexus added, "It was very unneeded. I'm not going to stop personally until I see justice and they get what they deserve." Allentown police say they did nothing wrong. In a statement last Monday, Police Captain Kyle Pammer said Lucalini tripped an officer, had the officer's leg locked in his own legs, and wouldn't let go while they were on the ground. I heard screaming, unless, I don't know, my hearing's going, but he was saying help, and she was saying you're beat. She said they tased him.
I mean, I was watching the video and I didn't see anybody's legs locked or anything, but
okay,
cops will always lie,
officers
even when it benefits them more to tell the truth.
Several uses of force, including baton strikes and a taser to stop Mr. Lucalini's attack.
There's a reason judges and lawyers all across the country have a special nickname for when a cop testifies, because you're never going to get the truth. Like, seriously, a cop will never tell the truth. Well, no, that's still accurate, because once you start telling the truth, you get run off the force. They put you in danger until you quit, or they make up a reason to fire you. What was oh, I remember. Test-a-lying. That's what they were calling it. Yeah. Heard it from several lawyers, too. Lawyers and judges both call it test-a-lying when a cop goes on the stand.
Attack on the officers.
I mean, it's it's that much of an epidemic that all across the country, they call it test-a-lying. I mean, come on.
Officers were able to control Mr. Lucalini and escort him from the scene. Alexis said they then threw him in the van, escorted him. She said they carried him out of the home. They asked no questions when they burst in.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was their affidavit. Maybe they did hear, "Get off of me, Luke." Mike. Maybe they heard
That might have been people play wrestling.
Maybe they didn't. I'd like to be able to trust everything they put in affidavit.
And maybe they just heard people playing, roughhousing and playing. Maybe Mike was the child. I mean, but they didn't clear any of that, according to the woman they were allegedly supposed to be protecting, and the woman they were allegedly supposed to be protecting is like, nah, they're full of shit. I don't know.
For what? Let go. For what? Let go. Am I being charged? Hey, let go. Am I charged for anything? Am I charged?
Yo, go ahead, hit him. You're hitting him. Yeah, you're hitting him.
Oh, God, they're fucked up. Oh, yeah, this is funny.
From Byron Donalds, who's a disgusting person.
The owner of Rocky's Barbershop in Atlanta says he feels he was misled by a campaign event for former President Trump the day before the debate. Rocky Jones tells our Karis Belger he thought his Buckhead shop was just hosting a forum for black businesses, but he says he never expected to fade into the realm of politics.
Yeah. I just want to go on the record as saying I have absolutely no sympathy. I have no sympathy whatsoever. Not even a little bit. Not even a tiny little shred of sympathy. Not even the smallest shred. Because, very simply, you've got mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence that this man and everyone associated with him is a con and a liar. You've got their own words to prove it, their own actions to prove it. You've got millions of witnesses to prove it. You've got everything in the world telling you that the sun is the sun. But what did you do? You said, no. On Friday, Donald Trump and his buddy told me that the moon is the sun. So I believed them and they tricked me. So you should feel sorry for me now. No. You got what you fucking deserved. You did it to yourself. I mean, don't come crying to me for a wash rag when you shit and fall back in it. I mean, come on. I mean, if you slam your own hand in the car door on purpose, I am going to feel no pity for you. When you tell me it hurts after, because you were told it was going to hurt before you did it, but you did it anyway. Told over and over, Trump is a liar, Trump is a con, Trump always lies. Everyone around him lies. Oh, well, I'm going to believe him. Okay. Enjoy getting fucked over. I'm not going to feel sorry for you.
To me, cutting hair is like an art.
And smooth waves are not the only thing Rocky Jones wants his shop to be known for.
We try to specialize in just giving good service.
Is falling for bullshit, is believing people who lie more freely than they breathe, is that an art?
To the community, as you can see, I've been here since 17 years and it's been good.
Which is why he jumped at the chance to help other black business owners get ahead.
Started with a text, then it went to a call, because I was actually out the country. And just me agreeing to do a black small business, round table. I thought it was like something real private.
It was anything but. Rocky, along with black business owners from across metro Atlanta, crammed into his shop, along with Trump surrogates like Ben Carson. But it wasn't all shop talk.
Thinking about black business in Atlanta, small black businesses in Atlanta. And I'm like, okay, so when are we going to start talking about this?
He says a call from former President Trump during the event cut deep.
Why is the ex-president calling somebody in my barbershop. This has nothing to do with small black businesses.
And he
So listen, it
No,
was another one of these.
you got used for a photo op. You got set up and used for the publicity stunt. They had no intention of following through, and hell, anyone else would have known that. If they would have called me, I would have laughed. I would have laughed. I would have been like, "Wait a minute, you're from what team? You're from what? Donald Trump? You expect me to believe a word you've got to say, and you're with Donald Trump?" That's how I would have reacted. So, I mean, I don't know. You invited a bunch of snakes into your house, and you got bit.
Scams. Okay, here's one of the clips from last week that I played for you.
You let
And
wasps
knowing
in,
nothing
and they stung
about
you.
the scam nature of this, I said, these guys don't seem too thrilled with what Trump is telling them. Remember this?
Well, as you know, I cut taxes and regulations more than any other president. We had the biggest tax cut, and bigger even than the Reagan tax cuts.
Look at this piece of shit. He's got the costume on. Go back through my previous videos. I point this out every time they do it. The 9-mile long tie, the comically oversized fucking clown costume tie goes down to your fucking knees with the blazer there. He's putting on the costume. It's like their drag, I guess. They're drag donnies. They're trying to dress up like Trump. But it's like, dude, no, you got to shave your face and you got to put like a Dennis the Menace wig on. So it's like so your hair comes out like the bill of a hat, only crooked. So it's like you're wearing your hat this way, but it's your hair and it comes out and it's like, and it looks like your hair is actually standing like 3-4 inches to the right of you.
And I also cut regulations
He's got
far
the
more
costume.
than any other president.
So as you can see, not a crowd that seems thrilled with Trump's talk of
What
tax cuts.
regulations?
There was also the totally Kafka-esque moment where Trump said, black folks really loved that I was arrested and given a mugshot, and we now learn that it was all a scam. Trump recently did a speech at a black church, and we looked around, and it was 92% white people shipped into the black church for.
I even pointed out that it might have been a black church on Sunday, but it wasn't a black church on Monday. On Monday, it was a white church. And I even said, I guarantee you none of those motherfuckers are from this town or even attend this church. And sure enough, it wasn't. And you know what? And the funny thing is, I'm going to tell you this right now, because I picked this up from the boat gala. Go watch that MAGA boat gala they had where all the big boats sunk all the little boats because they didn't give a fuck about the little boats, didn't care, didn't even pay attention, just drove right through them. And I guarantee you at that church, there was a lot of black people pissed off that they didn't have access to their church. I guarantee it. I guarantee if you went to that town and you interviewed the people around there, they will tell you, oh yeah, there was a whole bunch of black people that got turned away by white security guards because all the MAGA people were already there. And how dumb is that? I mean, I'm so smart that I thought it would look good to do a speech from a black church and brag about it being a black church, but there's no black people in it.
For Trump to get his photo ops, bizarre photo ops, because everybody was mostly white. And then now we find out this, but let's do a panel on black small businesses. Great. Here's Trump on the phone, sleepy Ben Carson coming in. Absolutely disgusting. But what's the prism through which we have to understand this? The prism is Trump only cares about what is good for him. That's it.
Yeah.
Debasing himself, disrespecting people. They do not care as long as it's what they think is good for them in the moment. And that's what he did. And another completely farcical campaign event. I've had such trouble finding a great razor where I am not cutting myself or getting those nicks on my skin, which are so common with the cheap disposable razors. You have to meet our sponsor, Henson Shaving. Henson actually manufactures parts for the International Space Station and the Mars rover, and they are bringing that exact same precision engineering to the shaving experience.
There we go.
Trump, Peter Baker, is expressing.
Sending gift cards in bulk can be a nightmare. But what if it could be tremendous?
Well, Donald Trump, Peter Baker, is expressing support for holding televised military tribunals against former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. The former president reposted this image on his Truth Social account on Sunday. It reads, quote, "Liz Cheney is guilty of treason. Read Truth if you want televised military tribunals."
Sure, let's do one for Trump. Will it end with a blindfold and a cigarette for the orange fuck? God.
Barbara McQuaid, I'd love to get your reaction, first of all, to the decisions, but also everything Ken just said. Don't the justices know that when they're kicking it back or when they're pushing it to the very last day and doing all these different things, that they're actually giving an outcome to this? It's not that they're leaving this undecided and kicking it back to the lower court. They're actually making a very clear decision that impacts the way Trump would behave as president again, or someone else.
Yes, in fact, you may recall Jack Smith asked the court to take this up back in January. He said, look, this case is going to the Supreme Court anyway. There's no reason for us to take a pit stop along the way at the Intermediate Court of Appeals. So why don't we just go directly to the Supreme Court and decide this case now? And the court said, no, you know.
Right.
The Supreme Court's making itself obsolete. It's pretty fucking hilarious because, like, all the shit that they're doing is like, no, let the states decide. Let the lower courts decide. Let the states decide. Let the lower courts decide. And it's like every time you do that, you're like, oh, so we don't need you, huh? And that is exactly what Congress and the president need to start saying. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if the lower courts and the states can decide everything, then we don't need you around, and we can. That'll be a major budget cut, not having to pay you guys anymore. You're all fired. That's exactly what I would do.
Nobody should be thinking here that Joe Biden is the right person to be president. If I get reelected, I will reinstate Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
I don't think that Rusty would be here today if it wasn't for the farmer's dog. He was always a...
Wade. Newsflash, Grandpa! It's gone because of you!
Oh my God. Okay, you Botox Vano. Jesus Christ. How much Botox do you want in your bottom lip? All of it. I want my mouth to look like a baboon's asshole. Success. You do. You do. Your mouth looks like an orangutan's ass, a baboon's ass, whichever one has the big red asshole. That's what your mouth looks like. You fucking moron. And that was stupid. Because of you, he wasn't president when all those Supreme Court justices were appointed. Like, seriously. He wasn't president when all the Supreme Court justices got appointed. That was, I mean, shit. It was settled. And plus, every Supreme Court justice who got interviewed said that they would consider it settled. I mean, they lied, which obviously there should be some kind of I mean, I guess we can't fix it now. I would love to be able to pass legislation that would be retroactive, but make it to where if you lie during the Senate interview, whatever it is, the interview process that they go through to where they had to answer all the questions, it should be like if you lie during that process, it's the same as perjury. So then, like later on, when they overturn versus Wade, oh well, you said it was settled during the thing and you wouldn't overturn it, and now you did. So, okay, not only is it not getting overturned, but you also just lost your job, and we're also going to arrest you. That's what it should be.
Y'all, this color gays get on my nerves because you have the nerve to get on a platform without knowing what the you're talking about.
Today, and maybe stupid people shouldn't open their stupid mouths news.
I totally support
you
the second
guessed it,
guy.
Stupid people open their stupid mouths. Hey man, call me the Coliseum, because I'm just calling them like I see them. Now this happens all the time in our sphere of politics, right? Especially with the current idiocracy that is the amalgamation of Republicans and right-wing media.
Instead of go-go boots, the seductress green M&M will now wear sneakers.
Yes, Fox News is upset that they can't jack off to cartoon M&Ms anymore. But they want you to think it's the drag queens and trans people you need to protect your children from, while they spend weeks complaining that they can't jack off to cartoon M&Ms anymore, and that your kids should see M&Ms that make them horny.
Because leading women do not wear sexy boots. Leading women wear frumpy shoes. The frumpier, the better. That's the rule.
The green M&M
Doesn't make
is a
any
snake.
sense.
You conniving, climbing.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay, fucker Tarleson, you actual walking tumor. You spend all day walking around in spiked heels. It's fucking uncomfortable.
Little. I do not trust her. Opportunistic, evil.
But this one comes from a kind of novel and unlikely source. A source we wouldn't normally cover here, but one that I think is actually incredibly important because of the scale of their influence, especially for younger audiences who may not be as well versed in the political sphere, as well as how just blatantly and ignorantly incorrect their assertions are. Like, this is MAGA levels of brain rot stupidity, and this person isn't even MAGA. And the source that I'm referring to, the fountain spewing this misinformation, is a beauty influencer and YouTube/TikTok star by the name of James Charles, who, despite having very minimal knowledge or experience in politics, as well as some other disturbing drama and controversy that we'll get into later, decided to open his mouth and attack Joe Biden for quite possibly the dumbest reason I've ever heard. And folks, that is saying something, because as you know, we regularly talk about the queen of Stupid Town herself on this channel, Marjorie Taylor Green Eggs and Ham for Brains.
Tell us about Jewish space.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers, and really, why don't you off? How about that?
So outdoing that level of stupidity
She's a toddler.
honestly deserves
She was
an
triggered.
award. And that's why,
Marge
in
the Goon was
dishonor
triggered.
of James Charles, and for your viewing pleasure, we will not only break down his dumbfounding dumbassery, we'll also see multiple brilliant
this guy.
takedowns of his words from
Dumbfounding
people who
dumbass.
actually know what they're talking about. All while exposing James Charles
I
for
say
being
things
the
like
aforementioned
tomfuckery,
garbage person
dumbfounded
he is. So
dipshittery.
without further ado, drop a like on the video, subscribe
that's-
if you're
that's
new
one of
here,
my
and let's
favorites is
get right
dumbfounded
into it.
dipshittery.
Starting with the keynote
'Cause I
of
like
this
playing-
whole
calling
controversy,
people
James Charles'
dumbfounded
ridiculous
dipshits.
rant against Joe Biden. Also, fair warning for lots of profanity. I'll do my best to censor it. And y'all are astute people, so see if you can tell what's wrong with what he's saying here.
Nobody
The
should be
Botox got to
thinking
his
here that
brain.
Joe Biden is the right person to be president. Literally during that debate, somebody from his team tweeted out saying, "If I get reelected, I will reinstate Roe versus Wade." Newsflash, Grandpa, you're the president now, and it's gone because of you. Oh my God, what do you mean if you get reelected, you'll?
Don't trust somebody who intentionally turns their mouth into a monkey's asshole, because they're showing you right up front that they don't make good decisions. Yeah, I can't not save that. I can't, I, I can't not save that image.
Bring it back. Do it now. Do it now, and maybe you'll have a chance at some
It's not
people
that
voting
easy.
for you because it's not looking
Congress
great,
will
buddy.
vote
Not
against
looking
it.
great. Nor is your hair, dude. I thought you were a
Congress
beauty
will vote
influencer.
against it.
Now, like I said, I normally wouldn't cover something that dumb, but that video has over 3 million likes on TikTok. Many of them are young viewers. And there is clearly a lot to unpack there, from his general attitude that reeks of entitlement.
Can't do it when there's a Republican majority.
Here we go again.
To just how blatantly
In
disrespectful and uneducated he comes across as. Like the attitude and calling him grandpa, given the very public and serious allegations of James Charles being a groomer and admitting to messaging underage boys.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be making a very important video about a very important topic. I'm desperate. I'm actively searching for.
You're not desperate. You're dumb. You're just a very dumb person. You're just a dumb person who got famous for being the cute gay boy with the monkey butt lips.
Younger people to be in a relationship with. And it is ridiculously embarrassing to admit this, but I fucked. Looking back, that was so stupid. They DM'd you first. They lied to you. They flirted first. There was no one to blame for this other than you. At this point, it does feel normal.
FBI, open up!
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, 100.
Even though it don't work.
Sorry, we'll save the character assassination for later. Let's focus on the substance, like making it seem like it's Biden's fault for Roe being overturned. I mean, have you been on the political side of the internet once before the debate? Now, thankfully, a post of his video on Twitter got a community note with fact checks saying Roe v. Wade was overturned by Dobbs v. Jackson, which was a 5-4 decision with Bush, the first and second nominees, Alito, Thomas, and Trump nominees, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett in the majority.
Yep.
And within conventional norms, this could only have been avoided by not electing Trump. Like, if you
Exactly.
don't understand the fundamental
Exactly.
functioning of government, just say so.
Exactly.
It's infuriating and it needs to be addressed and corrected. And as I promised, there were other creators, thankfully active on platforms like TikTok that do reach a younger audience, that did just that. This is from a creator by the name of 2Real2Raw2, whose name is also Kenny, and who I also featured in a recent video where he gave an excellent expletive-filled defense of Biden after the debate, and here he gives an equally expletive-filled takedown of James Charles's stupidity. Take a listen.
Let me tell you something, you botch body BBL having that. Joe Biden is not the reason why we lost Roe v. Wade. It was that orange Oompa Loompa that was sitting on that debate stage. And why do you have all this smoke for Joe, but no smoke for the one person who appointed 3 Supreme Court justices that rolled back Roe v. Wade? Why do you have so much smoke for Democrats who actually tried to codify women's reproductive rights before the Supreme Court decision by trying to pass the Women's Health Care Protection Act back in 2022? As you can see in this photo, Vice President Kamala Harris presiding over the Senate, trying to get it.
Why do you have so much smoke for the people fucking fighting for your rights, like things like marriage, but none for the people who are actively working to take that back away?
But we lack the votes. If Joe is reelected, he does have the ability to bring it back if we take back the House and if we get more votes in the Senate in order to pass it. That's what Joe's promise is. I don't understand why you guys don't understand it. Maybe if you paid more time in civics, paying attention rather than beating your face and potentially beating your beat while also sending explicit photos to minors, maybe you would know that. Maybe, just maybe, if you spend less time trying to capitalize off of black suffrage and post-slavery, trying to capitalize off of a song called Bring Me Water, Sylvie, by a black man by the name of Lead Belly, who was singing a song based off of his uncle who was plowing a field post-slavery, maybe you would know what Joe Biden has done. Y'all, this color gays get on my nerves because you have the nerve to get on a platform without knowing what the you're talking about. The
Thank you.
For somebody, a part of the LGBT community,
Thank
my
you.
community, to come at Joe sideways as much as he's done for our
Thank
community
you.
when it comes to trans affirmative when it
Thank
comes to
you.
trying to end conversion therapy, when it
Thank
comes to
you.
marriage equality.
Thank you.
Dare you?
How flippin' dare you? And honestly, he said everything I could have said
Yeah.
and more. And really, I guess
Yeah.
the takeaway from my perspective is that more voices like that need to
Yeah.
be elevated to inform
Yes.
people, younger voters,
Very much so.
marginalized communities, what Joe Biden and his administration has actually done for people of color, the LGBTQ plus community, women, unions, regular Americans, the list goes on.
Bastards, welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. You daily dive into the news.
Supergirl said it was to help steer when they fly. So there's that. Maybe it's true. I don't know. I guess it could be. I should go watch this at the gym. I think I will.